and welcome to Mississauga. My name is Laura Kirby-McIntosh, and I'm proud to be a teacher here at Cawthra Park Secondary School. But I'm even more proud to be nominating Emmy Marshall-Hill for Canada's next great Prime Minister. To room 207. To a certain extent, I think this is where, for Emmy, it all began. When Emmy was in my grade 10 civics class, like all of my civics classes, I put her through the ordeal of a mock election campaign. Students are put into groups, they form political parties, elect leaders, make campaign ads, write speeches, create bills. They do it all. It's an intense project with a lot of pressure. But with Emmy, there was just a little bit of extra pressure added on. You see, at that time, CBC was involved in a series called Making the Grade. It was a project that challenged kids all across Ontario to ask themselves some really interesting political questions. The key one that I put to the class was, if you could be premier for a day and pass any law that you wanted, what would it be? We brainstormed through the issues, submitted those to CBC, and bit by bit, the whole project narrowed it down to just 3 issues. Our class decided to take those 3 issues and make them the campaign issues. Well, when CBC heard about that, of course, they wanted to come into the class and film our mock election day, where the leaders sit up here, make speeches, and debate head to head. So at the ripe old age of 15, there was Emmy, leader of a political party, ready to give a speech and debate in front of all of her class, having to learn about political issues. Oh yeah, and just for fun, she was going to be on TV. So, after grade 10 civics, Emmy started her journey to try to get more involved politically in the school. That inevitably led her to several different campaigns for different positions on Cawthra's Student Council. Hi, welcome to the SAC office. You know, in most student councils, you experience some fairly strange things. You never know what you're going to find in here. I mean, honestly, there's a sword on the back of their door, there's some Barbie cards, and over here, there's chocolate sauce. I don't know why. Anyway, this is where Emmy hung out for a little while when she was on SAC. But it's strange. I'm not sure that she learned exactly the lessons that she was thinking that she would learn. You see, she served on SAC for 1 year, but actually ran 3 times. She learned some lessons about what it's like to put yourself out there as a candidate and sometimes not be successful. You learn a lot when you lose. You learn a lot when you win as well. But from this room, Emmy began a transition in her political career as she began to think not just inside the classroom, not just inside the school, but in the wider community. And it was then that Emmy decided to run as student trustee for the Peel District School Board. As Emmy made the transition from school politics to municipal politics, her experiences as student trustee really challenged her skills as an advocate for her fellow students in the Peel District School Board. But she got involved as well in some specialized committees. She then moved on to be president of the Ontario Student Trustees Association for the English Public Board. There, she really got a provincial perspective and got involved in some issues-based activities, including serving as a member of the Healthy Schools Coalition and the Violence in the Media Coalition. By the time I found out that Emmy was headed back into my classroom as a student in my grade 11 law class, it was clear to me I was going to need to really turn things up a little bit in order to challenge this kid. And so I dusted off the law textbook and got ready to put her to work. So Emmy walks into my law class and I think to myself, how in the world am I going to challenge this girl? I mean, she's already shown me that she can master grade 10 civics. That's not her problem. She's gotten involved in student council. She's gotten involved in municipal politics as trustee, and she's even gotten involved in provincial issues. But now it's my job to teach her about the law, and I've got to come up with something that's going to really engage her and challenge her intellectually. Well, fortunately, there's a program called the Charter Challenge. It's run by an organization called the Ontario Justice Education Network, and it's the brainchild of former Ontario Chief Justice Roy McMurtry. In it, students are given a judgment, a fictitious case, from a trial judge, and they're asked to look at it carefully and decide whether they agree with the trial judge or disagree.
Then they get online and debate with students from across Ontario and get into the legal technicalities. They research, they read Supreme Court decisions, and then they put together a written document called a factum, which is submitted to real judges and lawyers at Osgoode Hall in Toronto. Well, when it came time for the final competition, something happened to Emmy's group that had never happened before. Although her group wasn't selected to argue the case in the finals, they were called down because their factum had caught the attention of a lawyer who was getting ready to argue a case very similar to theirs at the Supreme Court. They were called down to the court because the lawyer in essence said, hey, you guys have some really creative and original arguments in here, and we'd like to borrow some. And so in order to recognize them for that, they were called down to Osgoode Hall to actually receive special recognition for their work. It was an amazing moment for Emmy, and it was one where I was really, really proud of her. This is her binder with all of the research that went into the project. They worked really, really hard. But we actually did that before we did another project, the mock trial.